Picture a world where the world energy crisis has been solved and there is an invention that is providing energy to the rest of the world at a very, very low cost. This is the world of Vividred Operation.
Off the tracks.
So this series is set a little bit in the future where the energy crisis has been solved by this giant machine that sits sort of in the ocean off the coast of Japan. The story revolves around a girl called Akane, who is the granddaughter of a very, very prolific scientist who is very gadgety and loves inventions and stuff like that. Turns out that not everyone's, for whatever reason, happy with this energy crisis being solved, and there is an evil group that comes along with giant robots to attack the facility and destroy it and all that sort of stuff so they can rule the world. I don't really know what they're trying to do. Anyway, it turns out that Akane's grandfather is actually really, really good for some other stuff, and he has invented power suits, which in a realm of science makes these inventions seem very magical as opposed to scientific. Akane gets to don this red suit, which sort of fits with her name, Aka being the colour red, and she gets to go along and have cool adventures with her flying robot suit and her boomerang. She is joined along the way by her best friend Aoi, who is the colour blue, and her suit is blue as well. Very fits in. Very Sentai in a way because Aoi has a giant hammer. That's not very Sentai in itself, but anyway, that's beside the point. The other characters in this series are Wakaba, who is a swordsman, Himawari, who is sort of a tech head and has some really cool weapons like that, and Rei. I'm not going to get too much into Rei's abilities because that's really spoilery, but you know, essentially they're the different colours. With Himawari being yellow and Wakaba being green and Rei being black. Anyway, these weapons users are very, very cool, and unfortunately this series hasn't been dubbed, which is really disappointing because it's actually a really cool series. I fell in love with this series the moment that Aoi summoned her weapon, which was her staying on an aircraft carrier, just like, okay, summon weapon, puts out her hands, giant hammer falls into them, ground underneath her buckles, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing! And then the series just got better from there because, you know, we've got two people. What happens when we have to destroy the giant robot at the end of the episode? Simple. We fuse. That's where things get a lot more supernatural because the two fuse into a single, much more buxom person who uses the colour element of whoever they fused with. So Vividred Operation would be, when Akane fuses with Aoi, it becomes Vivid Blue Operation and all that sort of stuff. All the weapons are very lecherous names. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they're all to do with boobs and butts and stuff like that. Very, very funny series, very, very awesome series, and I love it very, very much. It's so cool, it's so over the top that you can't help but love it. Like, you know, it's very Gurren Lagann in the way that it's these little girls fighting giant robots with giant weapons and very heavy weapons and very powerful weapons, and then fusing to defeat the final boss at the end of the episode. Very episodic series. Has this little overarching plot at the same time, but every episode is very self-contained at the same time. It's all following a general storyline, and they're so close to home that buildings keep getting destroyed, and it keeps inconveniencing them for their way of life. Like, first episode, their school gets destroyed. It's like, oh, well, now we have to move to this other spot where, oh, we meet the third character, Wakaba. Oh, fancy that. And then we meet the other characters as a result of having to transfer to this school. It's a very fun series. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 9. Again, this is another series that I wish had an English dub, and that would probably boost the score a little bit further. It was hilarious. It was good fun. It starts off very slow, and I said that about Ghostic as well, but this one starts off slow as well. It's a very big draw-in until you get towards the end of the first episode where you finally get to have the Vivid Red and the Vivid Blue jump into the fight and start fighting this giant monster, which the normal military doesn't have any effect on. It's very Evangelion in that regard. Definitely check out Vividred Operation if you check out nothing else from This Is June. It's a very, very cool series, very much worth checking out. I'm Criddle, this has been Vividred Operation, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.